my screen?
I don't see Bante.
Okay, now I got it. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Tired of typing.
Okay. All right. Good evening and Dhamma greetings to all of you, to our venerable monks and our lay devotees who are on Zoom platform, and also good evening and Dhamma greetings to our friends who are watching this program live on Facebook and YouTube. So before we get into bi-weekly sutra discussion based on Chosen Sutra, let us pay our respect and homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I pay my respect and homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened Buddha. Okay, so today we are having our session number 81. It is such a great joy to have this bi-weekly sutra discussion in English with our venerable monks. And sometimes we have nuns, sometimes we don't. So venerable monks are kind of busy with their summer activities and programs. But today I'm very happy to see at least some monks are here for this bi-weekly discussion. And just yesterday, I posted something with a group of, a picture of a group of monks. The unity and noble friendship within the Sangha bring immense joy and fulfillment when monks come together with shared values, supporting and uplifting one another in their spiritual journey. It creates a harmonious and enriching community. This collective bond fosters growth, understanding, and deep connection, making the experience of belonging to such a group profoundly joyful. So I did this reflection as I was reflecting on this bi-weekly Sutta discussion with all of you. Before we discuss the Chosen Sutra for today's discussion, I would like to introduce our venerable monks to our audience. So today we have Venerable Trudeau from Florida, and we have Bante Jayasara. He's joining the discussion from New Jersey, United States, and just today I learned Venerable Jayasara's mother passed away a couple of weeks ago. I wish I knew 2 weeks ago to transfer merits, but today the merits we are making from Dhamma discussion, we would like to transfer these merits to your loving mother. May your loving mother receive all these merits, and may she attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. And then we have Venerable Shanta Sobana. He's joining the discussion from Los Angeles. And after a long time, we have Venerable Bhante Jirananda from Ottawa, Canada. And then we have Venerable Bhante Kusala. Actually, he's conducting a retreat in Missouri. First, you said you may not be able to join, but you surprised me. So always good to have you. Today, Bhante Kusala is joining the discussion from Missouri. And hosting is Vevaratana from Pittsburgh, and he's going to show. I don't know whether you can hear us or not. So his Venerable Vevaratana is here too. And we have some devotees on Zoom platform, and then I see some people are watching this program on Facebook and YouTube Live. So I would like to welcome all of you to our bi-weekly sutra discussion. And today we have chosen this sutra. It's called Rajaniya, the sutra from the Anguttara Nikaya. And I normally ask Venerable Kusala to give a summary of that sutra, and I don't know whether you're prepared for that, but I have prepared two PowerPoint slides. Maybe all of you can share your insights, tell some stories, but for everybody's convenience, I would like to share this one here. So this is the sutra from the Anguttara Nikaya called the Panchaka Nipata, sutra number 81, called Rajaniya Sutta, the discourse on the desirable. So it's a very short sutra, and so although this is Buddha is giving this teaching to a group of monks, aiming at the monks, but I believe this is good for even lay people as well. So a senior mendicant with these 5 qualities is unlikable, appeal, unlovable, amanapa, not respected, agaru, not admired, abhavaniyo, by the other monastics. So what are these 5 qualities? They desire the desirable, and the second one is they hate the hateful, and the number 3, they are deluded by the delusory, and number 4, they are annoyed by the annoying, and number 5, they are intoxicated by the intoxicating. So if a monk or anyone who is endowed with these negative qualities, they are not going to be liked or loved by the monastics or others. They are not going to be respected or admired. So I have intentionally put the background in red because this is not Buddha is highlighting, but here's the green. This is something to be cultivated, and then Buddha continues, a senior mendicant with these 5 qualities is dear, pure, beloved, manapo, respected, garu, admired, bhavaniya by other monastics and the people. What are these 5 qualities? So they don't desire the desirable, they don't hate the hateful, they are not deluded by the delusory, and they are not annoyed by the annoying, and they are not intoxicated by the intoxicating. Any senior monk or any monk or anyone who is equipped with these 5 good qualities, they are going to be very beloved and dear to others. They are going to be highly respected and admired by everyone. So I put this in green. So this is something that we all, as monastics and the lay people, want to, maybe we can be mindful of cultivating these 5 qualities in order to be loved and liked and respected and admired by others. So the sutra ends here. So I just want to throw a very simple question: how do you perceive this sutra, and how can we apply this? Do you have, or do you know any monk or any person who have been? It could be those negative five qualities, and they were not respected or admired, and then those monastics who have been respected and admired because they cultivated or those five spiritual qualities seen in their behavior. So, what are your thoughts on this sutra? So, nobody has raised a hand yet.
I need to go, Bante.
Okay, please, Bante Kusala, go ahead. I think you're frozen, Bante Kusala. Okay. Venerable Jai Sara.
Oh.
Okay. Bante Kusala, are you okay? Like,
I think my internet connection is not stable, so.
okay, now we can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, what I was saying is that there's another sutta. This is also called Rajaniya Sutta in Sanyutta Nikaya. And it talks about the same content and explains what is Rajaniya here. It's referring to the five aggregates. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, and getting attached to any of the five aggregates. Basic idea is that when we look at the senior monk, and if the senior monk or any monk has a kind of attachment to the movies, that's a basic idea, and gets so frustrated and act upon what he sees. That is kind of creating an unpleasant situation for junior monks. But if you see loving kindness in him, that means he has understood what feelings are and not to take them personally. The moment we take anything personally, we are forgetting the dependent origination, and that the work is still need to be done in the monk who is taking feelings personally or aggregates personally, any whether the body or the whole ayatanas, internal and external ayatanas, the basis personally, that can cause suffering, that can lead to a frustrated environment in the monastery where he lives. And in our experience, it shows that it's kind of impossible to get them out of this situation unless they come to the middle path and pay attention. Sometimes it is those monks that has some kind of attachment to certain ways of.
I think he's frozen again, but it's okay. Thank you, Bante Kusala. And I see Venerable Bante Jaisara raising hand.
Continue their monastic life.
Okay, you're back again.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So,
you're frozen a bit, but it's okay. Continue. Yeah.
So this kind of a monk can come to a lot of compassion, but it does not show. But they come to also some delusion that offering the cattle daily could be enough just for maintaining their monastic status. But the actual practice does not seem to be happening, and they are easily provoked with unpleasant circumstances. There is the whole path to be taken, and I think we can be among these monks without us realizing. Actually, we have to be so sincere in our own understanding of the Dhamma that we too can be among these monks who are chasing after the five dead ends, actually, whether it involves desire, anger, or anything. And then humble and ground ourselves in reality and accept the fact that we have gone astray and come back to mindfulness and awakening practice and follow the teachings back again. Thank you, Bhatt.
Yeah, thank you, Bhante. Kusala, also giving the reference to another sutra. Actually, I have seen it, but so it's good to connect these two sutras together because these are very short sutras. So thank you for doing that connection. Venerable Jaisara, what's in your mind?
Thank you, Bhante and Mahasangha. So yeah, this is one of those things where there's just so many dozens, if not hundreds of places in the suttas where the Buddha gives you a hint on how you're supposed to live, right? Especially as a monastic. I just love these. Actually, I was just reading earlier today, Project 4 with the 5 notorious gangsters, right? It says the Buddha equates monks who do certain things to these 5 notorious gangsters. I really enjoyed that. But if you look at this list, they desire the desirable, they hate the hateful, they're deluded by the delusory, they're annoyed by the annoying, they're intoxicated by the intoxicating. They're not doing anything. They're going along in the power of Mara. They're not even practicing. They're not trying. It's not even that they're trying, but they're failing. They're just totally not even trying. So it's like in the suttas this would be said like they do not have the qualities of a bhikkhu. Right? They're just totally going along in the power of any. If it's desirable, they chase after it. If they hate it, they hate it. You know, if they're intoxicated by it, they're intoxicated by it. So it makes perfect sense that if you're among a community of people who are trying to go against all of these, right? To go against the power of Mara, to stay in their own domain, etc. This kind of person is going to stick out. This kind of person is going to be the kind of person who can end up being like one of the 5 notorious gangsters and cause schisms and cause problems for other monks and things like that. So it makes sense to me that these, a person really not trying at least to abandon these 5 things and to go against them and to try the opposite, to go against the stream, as the Buddha says. That this person is not a person that would be beneficial for a community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, they were hated too, not like for their misbehaviors. They were always looking for a loophole. If Buddha said, "Don't do this," they would find something else. Thank you very much, Asana. Very much, Ridao. What's in your mind?
Salutation and much respects to all of the most.
We cannot hear you.
Salutations and most respect to all of the venerables present here today. Rejoice in your presence. When I think I was put to the test in Laos when I had to stay at this monastery, Wat Dondu, in the capital of Laos, and the abbot was 33 years old. I've never seen an abbot so young. Actually, no, there's one in Vietnam. That's so relatively young. And he was very accommodating. And he says, "Can you eat Laos food?" And I said, Is it spicy?" I said, "I cannot eat spicy food." So little did I know, I said, "It's okay. I can try." And there's this, I said, "I cannot eat spicy food." So little did I know, I said, "It's okay. I can try." And there's this picture that we took. I'm not sure if I published it or not, but to the hall, the dining hall, and all of the bhikkhus go first, followed by the novices. And there was a seat for me. And in front of that seat was this tray of extra food, accommodating. And I realized, I said, uh-oh. There was a row of bhikkhus, perhaps 10. And, throughout the 2.5 weeks I was there, I realized that it could possibly be a test. So I took it as a test of personal preference, a test of desire, a test to see if I am easily annoyed, a test to see if I don't like certain things. And so I went into Ajahn Chah mode. And Ajahn Chah gave profound, deep, detailed teachings on preference. The more preference we have, the more it will cost us peace. So I sat down and we chanted and we ate. And before we ate, I actually um, evenly distributed the extra food, the accommodating food, and actually resorted back to my bindabat, my alms bowl, to eat with the bhikkhus, because I did not want them to feel like, why is this monk special? Where is he from? He's from America. Why? Why? There's going to be a bunch of whys in their heads. Thus, I anticipated. And then when it came to sleeping on the ground, he showed me the room, and he said, "This is the coolest room in this temple at Wat Dondu." And it was so hot that I tried the bed, which is only exactly 12 inches off the ground, on a mattress, but I had to lay on the floor in order to cool my body core temperature. So talk about a Vietnamese American monk who came here at 7 years old. Now, just no preference. I mean, there's no AC. Even if there was AC, there was no AC. And so just along the way, I was on this truck, and I've never seen a truck so small that could fit 15 people. And it was annoying, if you think about it, that we're hitting all of these potholes in Laos. And when I described it, I described it as dirt poor, because literally we're kicking up dirt. I had to take my robes, like I'm showing here, and I had to make a cocoon around me. And when the dirt got kicked up, I had to try to shield myself and breathe inside of my robes to not get contaminated for lungs health. In this sutta, it is exactly what Venerable Jayasara said, is that it is a test. And a lot of Vietnamese Theravadan venerables have a very keen eye for those who come. They don't easily trust just because you wear robes. They have a very keen eye to see if you keep the precepts, and they have their way of testing. Most notably, over the past 10 months, I have been put to the test. And like I tell my students who are following, I said, this is the investigative stages. So anytime when we sit with most venerables or higher ups or abbots or vice abbots, they will go through an investigative stage. And then they're going to make sure that your words and actions are congruent to try to get the truth out of this monk in sitting in front of them. And so I just have this insight about Vietnamese Theravadins over there in Vietnam. And so if you ever watch our close encounters, we're very respectful, especially with a hand gesture, followed by any questions that we ask to anyone that is a higher vasa than us. We'll put our hands together and ask it in a very most humble way, and then rejoice in their answers thereafterward. Everything is very sensitive, because they do judge, and it does matter. So yeah, like Venerable Chayasara said, that person who is so easily moved, and I wrote here in the notes for today, easily swayed, easily pulled, not restrained, and ordinary. What an ordinary person, when in fact, when you are a monastic, you are supposed to be not ordinary. That our speech, behavior, and action should be different from any others. When others are so easily angered, so easily annoyed, we are the rock. We are the rock that is unmoved by anything that is good, unmoved by anything that is negative, and unmoved by anything that will be a direct personal attack, an arrow, a spearheaded arrow that will come at you fast. It was exactly in this room that my best friend, who dated this human, and I've never had a human try me, perhaps was colorblind, that could not see the color of the robes and what it means. And in the presence of then novice Lee that was present, and I thought that was also a very interesting test. And anyone that is in monastic robes, stepping into public view and public arena, should also anticipate that at any point in time, someone could test you. There was a time where I was in Clearwater Beach here in Florida. We all know Floridian citizens are quite interesting in general, if you watch the news. And there was this drunk lady that actually took her arms and went like this to me. I don't think she knew who I was or what I represent, but I came to her anyways, and I reminded myself in an instant that who do I think I am? I'm just a visitor. So I'm just a tourist. I'm just going to pretend like I'm a tourist and not to be so annoyed or have ill will towards someone who doesn't know who we are, what we represent. This sutta reminds monastics not only to be the light in places of darkness in people's lives, but also to be the lighthouse. We're not just the light, we're also our own lighthouse, to always watch over our behavior and to always screen ourselves. And I think the hardest one would be number 4, how we can, in fact, easily get annoyed. And once we recognize that, perhaps in the moment or after the fact, that we also discipline ourselves to readjust in meditation, in samadhi, in vipassana, to readjust that annoyance. The growing world has ever been so testing, so challenging for the modern day monk. It's no wonder why when they ask me, you have young novices under your care. That statement leads me to believe that they have inquiries in their mind. And what they didn't know is it's a rare thing that I hold novice ordinations that is sudden, and most novices have undergone at least 1 year of probationary period for good behavior, so that there would not be an embarrassment to the Theravadan order. So I teach this to the novices also, and to try to make it fun. Also, in regards to the number 1 to number 5, the desire, the desirable, the hate, the deluded, the annoyed, intoxicated. What it means to me in regards to desire is material things. Desire, mostly for material, because that easily moves people for things that cost money or that is of luxury. So the test would follow with mostly materialism. Number 2, hate and hateful would follow news, leaders, present day, people, places, and things that could make us have a certain preference towards a region or a leader that does not follow under the dasa, the 10 qualities that the Buddha have prescribed. When it comes to deluded by delusory, I would say that ignorance of the Four Noble Truths will lead one to be deluded amongst those who are in delusional mode or operating on that platform. It's important to review and meditate on the Four Noble Truths, and often. Number 4, annoyed by the annoying. I think anything can annoy us, including a bug, a mosquito, no air conditioning, waiting in line. And Ajahn Chah's teaching will help those who are easily annoyed, easily have frequent preferences, and you know yourself best. Number 5, the intoxicated would follow by the precept of intoxicating substances, but also I wrote down with my creativity, intoxicated by the news, because we don't have information diet, intoxicated by excess of anything that it does not pertain to the spiritual growth and development, and also the intoxicated with food. Too much food is not good for you, and perhaps could make you less heedful. I like to yield the floor back. I like to yield the floor back to the monastics. Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much, Rudao. We are having this discussion, of course, because everybody has a different perspective. They have a different outlook. So this is a way of sharing our own insights, how we read the sutras, and the way you presented the insights is also very, very practical for us, for the lay people. So thank you so much, and you can maybe share much more insights later on. So I see Venerable Jinananda from Ottawa, Canada, raised his hand. Venerable Jinananda.
Yes, Bhante, thank you very much. Thanks everyone for shedding light on this very short but very important discourse. I just want to tell you that this sutta, why this sutta, is here with us, because it brings a very important factor for us. It says that elderly monks, if they do not have these qualities, not only they are going to be unforgotten factor for us. It says that elderly monks, if they do not have these qualities, not only they are going to be unpopular in the order, both ordained and unordained, but it affects to the junior monks and nuns and lay people negatively, because one of the factors that we all should consider is that the sasana, the dispensation of the Buddha, goes from from generation to generation. So the senior monks hold the Dhamma, and then it is transferred to junior monks with faith, with confidence. So if elderly monks may not be able to practice all these good things, there are no examples for junior monks to state on, because records are records that nobody can, show it by their behavior. If not, we have live examples. So that is the first thing I want to point out. If senior monks are not being able to practice, if senior nuns are not being able to practice these wonderful, very important things, we cannot expect the next generation to do so. So that's the first point I want to say. And the other thing is Kalyana Mitta. So to become a wholesome friend, we need to have qualities. So a senior, very good monk is a Kalyana Mitta, is a friend to junior monks. So either with very various ways of gesture and also explanation, we as senior monks would be able to tell the deep Dhamma in a simple way, so that you should have qualities. So one of the factors to go to the first stage of enlightenment is Kalyana Mitta, and it is required for everyone. And without these wonderful qualities, you are not going to be a Kalyana Mitta. So these are the 2 points I now wanted to point out. So this is why this sutta is important, because it highlighted senior monks. If senior monks do not have, kind of discipline on selecting what they want to do with regard to this and that, it's going to be a whole mess in the dispensation. So it's affect to the parents also. If parents do not do the right thing, we cannot expect the children to be good. So this is equally important for ordained and unordained disciples, and that's what I wanted to tell one thing.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Live by example, right? So it's very important. The Kalyana the Sappurises, and especially our teachers, the senior monks, if they are true good friends and fine teachers, and of course the kind behavior, mindful behavior has a big impact on the students too. And that's how they continue to develop this desire to remain as a monk and to practice the Dhamma. So that's where maybe later on we can tell more stories,
Yeah, I will tell my story right now, because I might get something else on the way of the discussion. So this is one of my personal experience, and one of the monks who lived with us for some time back in Sri Lanka. One of the habits he had was he likes to appreciate flowers and other things anytime he saw them, in terms of at least getting it to his room. For example, if he goes to a new house for blessings, he talks about flowers he saw in the cupboard, plastic flowers and real flowers, and so on. This was an anointing for us as junior monks, because he's not appreciated by that behavior at all in the monastery. Because wherever he goes, he talks about getting some flowers and putting them in his room. Sometimes the flowers on the altar in front of the Buddha statue also were taken to his room. It's a small thing, but he was not recognized very well in the order of young monks because of this factor. One day, he went to a house with us for a small matter, and what he was doing habitually is admiring the flowers in the cupboard, which has glass in front on it so that you can see through. And the 5 years old boy who is talking to you and came and said that, "Mom, please come and take that flowers and give them to monk, because this monk is always collecting flowers for nothing." That was the time he got the lessons from from somebody who actually and then he stopped that behavior. So I think this is with regard to the first one. So you you are enticed by something you always appreciate, but you have to think whether this is applicable to myself and my position and my behavior, the junior monks and all around. And hereafter, he never said that. He learned a lesson from that 5 years boy, and we told him, he did not accept that. And his teacher advised him not to do this because people might get upset about you. No, he didn't stop, but that was the moment that he learned a lesson. It was from a 5 years old boy.
That's a wonderful story. Thank you. I think there are more stories that we can tell later. And as you're telling this story, I've got a lot of stories are popping up in my head. But I would like to go to Venerable Shanta Sobana from Los Angeles. And also, I'm looking forward to hearing more from Venerable Jayasara. And I'm very happy to see Venerable Pevaratana today. And of course, he will tell more stories later on. Venerable Shanta Sobana from Los Angeles.
Well, thank you very much, Venerable Sirs. Actually, when it comes to this sutra,
Yeah.
The word Rajaniya,
Yeah.
Actually this word is an adjective. It's come from the meaning. It's leading to lust. Yeah, leading to lust, and at the same time, as we know in the Ayurveda, there are 3 kind of gunas. We have like tamas, rajas, and sattva. So the rajas means it's a kind of like a state of energy, like acting and changing and movement. So everything always, when it comes to energy, everything always moving. And so especially when we come to spiritual practice, so we have to understand there is no way we can go against something, or we cannot resist something, and at the same time we cannot kind of like accept something. So that's where the equanimity come at the highest level. So, but in day-to-day life, naturally, because the body is a kind of like depend on chemistry. So the whole body. So we always into something because we have habitual patterns, and not even in this very lifetime, from the samsaric journey. So we always interfere with the society, and we are social beings, and we always look for validations, and we are depending on comparison. But when it comes to especially the Buddha's teaching, when we go towards the Nibbana, we cannot depend on that social state, or we cannot go with that social status. We have to take a completely different kind of path. So that is where the introspection comes. So it is very important then for ourselves. We always have to look for that and understand this anything. This all belong to the world. We cannot justify this anything as wrong, or we cannot justify this is the way good, because when it comes to the truth, that end of the day, the truth never going to divide anybody as right or wrong. So that is where that anybody, as we know, when during the Buddha's time and according to their day-to-day life, whatever they have done, but when end of the day, when they come to the Buddha, when they understood the Dhamma, and it's completely, they shifted to different level, and at the same time, anybody welcome to meet the Buddha. So the especially when it comes to the sasana, so sasana means in a certain way following certain kind of teaching. And the very responsibility of the sasana, what we follow as our teaching, we have to explain, which we call anusasana. That is our responsibility. So then whatever the qualities we practice, we have to tell to others. So in that way, that whoever the next generation, whoever the next comers, naturally interfere with the elders. So it is very important then ourselves look into deeply and see what we practice, and at the same time that not to allow ourselves that go towards this natural flow of nature, because that is where all the tendencies, cankers that there. So then I think in this sutra, that's why the Buddha mentioned that as an elderly monk, it's our responsibility to practice for us, and because by the time the whoever next to us naturally going to absorb to them, and at the same time for us also, whoever around us, naturally we're going to absorb that also. And there was a monk, this Gomagama Konnanya Amdroi. I met him in London, and once I moved to Los Angeles, he used to come here. Now he passed away during COVID time. So he used to come here, and he stayed with me like 1 month, 2 months. When he used to stay with me, he used to do something. When he used napkin, he take it. When I talked with him, we start for like this, and it's kind of like he secure it like this and keep it. And after 2-3 days, everywhere napkins. I asked, Venerable, why you do this? No need to do, just throw it away. And he was smiling, and then later he started to do that. But he left, and then by the time after 2-3 months, when I come again to my table and I saw, it's kind of like there are napkin pulled out in the same way like that what he did. I was looking and I was wondering how it happened. So I used to do it unconsciously myself, and when I think about him and what he did, I used to do the same. So then I understood, see that unconsciously sometimes there are things we absorb when we stay with some other people. Effect for us, and so that is something that physically, materially we can see and we can maintain. How about when it comes to especially emotions, and especially the way we think sometimes, and deeply when it comes to our behavior, our character. So it's deeply effect for us. So that is why it is very important to have the introspection, always looking to that ourselves, rather than that comparison and dividing and trying to even criticizing anything, and especially go with the equanimity. I think that is the best place that we can keep our mind, because that whatever the very nature of the energy, if we go against it, it never allow us to stay in peace. If we go against, that's why that when what the Buddha taught in meditation, the practice, the pasati, that is the important thing. Just you have to see. Don't try to resist it. If you resist it going to come back, bounce back. Pasati, once you see that, that's enough. So then that if you see it very clearly, so by the time you are capable to see again and again and again and again, and when you see it going to slow down. So that is important, because when it come to conventional life, nowadays what we see when we come to people, special people come to Dhamma or practicing meditation or practice spiritual things, they think everything should be right, which is not going to happen. Everything should be nice. Everything should kind of like appreciate us. It's not going to happen. But at the same time, if we have the kind of like point of view regarding other people should think this way, that way, and even when it comes to Dhamma or even come to good things, and all of us know most of the good people built by the people in the world history. That always in the world. So when you select to be good, that you have to understand that there is no kind of like appreciation, there is no kind of like a value from others. You don't need to look for that because you become good for you and for your higher purpose. In that way, you can maintain the equanimity without getting disturbed even from your own mental desires, and that's going to make that person protect from inside and outside both. So it's especially because nowadays, as we see this when it comes to social media, that everybody look for followers and everybody look for kind of like a comments and everybody look for kind of like a thumbs up. It's not going to happen all the time. So, but if you get disappointed from that, what will happen? You're going to boil down because of you. So that's why I think that if we can come to the level of equanimity with the introspection, I think that will give a very good space for us to grow itself, and at the same time, there is an opportunity for us to share it with others. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much, Shanta Sobala. And of course, this requires wisdom, panya, right? And of course, in the society, the human beings, of course, they are doing a lot of things because they have craving, and they're hating others because they have no control, and they don't get if they don't get what they want, then they start hating others. And of course, people are acting on this through this stupidity, and people normally get annoyed, and of course, in society there are different ways of getting intoxicated. People are getting intoxicated with power and name, grace, you name it. There are a lot of things. So this is the true nature of the human beings, right? And so we monks have a purpose of practicing Dharma. Just because these people are doing these things, we don't have to do things like them. And if we do, then there's no difference between us and them, right? So here the junior monks are watching the senior monks, or the parents are, the children are watching the parents how they are behaving. So I think remember there's a famous the Sri Lankan Mama Banai, father-in-law and the son-in-law, the singing talking Raigama. This beautiful, very funny song, right? Uh, the crabs, they are talking about the crabs. The senior crabs are telling the juniors, don't go on side, go straight. But then the seniors go on side. So if they go on side, how the juniors are going to go straight? They are not going to listen. So I think this is something like that, right? So it's very important for us to, especially the senior monks. And Venerable Pevaratana. So what's in your mind? Share your insight with us.
Yeah, my greetings to all our wonderful members and all others. And I'm really enjoying listening to the thoughts everyone is sharing. So I think this sutta is, when you sent me the link, I was reading this, although it's very short, as earlier, mentioned by Jai Saro, Honorable Jai Saro. I think this is like this sutta can help us so much, as a reminder of our practice. When we read, these qualities, one way these qualities will increase the acceptance and admiration by junior followers, but at the same time, this is also referring to our spiritual strength, right? How we can stay without moved by these things around us. So I was thinking this may be like referring to what we call virya, our strength, our ability to stay firm on our goal without being distracted by all these things around us, and also equanimity. So, but the one day the problem is, exactly if we have a spiritual maturity, definitely we will not be, moved by whatever pleasant things or whatever unpleasant things or whatever annoying things around us. We will not be easily moved by them, right? But as a practitioner, so maybe if we have such a teacher, then we can be really inspired by it. But as a practitioner, how we can really stay without moved by them? If I see an attractive thing, what are the techniques that I can use not to go after it? And if I came across with the irritable thing, irritable speech, or a very irritating thing, how can I stay without being irritated by it? Right. So I think I was reflecting on that, how we can so we can have an example, and then be inspired by the example, and then as a practitioner, how we can develop this. I think definitely, mindfulness, play a very important role here. And also, I think as you mentioned, Bhante, you mentioned about, panya, right? So some knowledge of the Dhamma and some personal realization that whatever attractive things we see, that attractiveness is not really in the things that we see or in the persons that we encounter, but the attractiveness is something that we project onto those objects and people, right? So we may not see it at first, but if we have learned that Dhamma earlier, and if you are wise enough, if you are mindful enough to bring that knowledge, whenever I see a very attractive thing, or very attractive, whatever I feel like going to get it or going closer to it. And if we can remember that, this attractiveness I see is not really over there. It's something that I'm projecting. It's something that, my senses, my concepts is projecting. It is same with, irritable, right? So I have seen, some inspiring teachers. I remember when I was visiting a senior monk in Sri Lanka, and one of the devotees came and really started complaining and even blaming him, and that the devotee was so emotional and tried to explain the kind of injustice that what he saw, and even blaming the monk for not really taking action. But the way that senior monk handled it, and he never got agitated. And this person is like this. I can see it from his face. He's angry. He's not settled. But the senior monk listening to him carefully and accepting that yes, it's something you are correct to get upset. But he was able to respond to that person without him being agitated, and that really inspired me. That created deep admiration of that monk in me. So when I read this, definitely when you see such a character, such a personality, definitely you are inspired by them, and particularly we need such good examples, and we should be such examples to others too. But I always think how we can be such example. What is the process? What is the practice that we need to do? So what I find is that our prior knowledge that anything attractive, anything irritable, anything unpleasant, all these things are not really qualities of the external world, but these are the qualities that we project. At least remember that will help us not to go after them so much, right? And then understand them. But one thing, I would like to, ask some clarification from our, monks who are here. How we understand this mohaniye muitati, that so we can say rajaniye, that something that is attractive, and dusaniye is something that is maybe irritable, that leading to hate. And Kupini is also related to that, like annoying. But how we understand mohani, like what are the things that will lead us to delusion? That is something I would like to learn, more, hear more from our, Mahasangha. So how we understand that? What are the things that are mohani, or like bringing us to delusion?
Actually, I was going to ask that question too later on. Doesn't it relate to one of those three poisonous roots, mohoba, moha, moha?
Yes.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
But so Rajaniya means things that are attractive. Dusani means things that are maybe
And they're taking the
so in the presence of attractive things, we stay without moving, and without being without desiring them. In the presence of undesirable, maybe in the presence of irritable things, we stay without being irritated. But in the presence of deluded things, what are those things? I don't know. I'm just curious how we can understand.
Isn't that also part of the avidya?
Yeah.
Not seeing the truth as it is part of this moha, right? Delusion or ignorance. So people are normally acting on something because of not seeing the things as they really are.
So in that case, everything would be like a mohaniya, right?
Yeah, everything is based on mohaniya, actually, right? People are craving and getting angry, and they want and they're resisting, and all these two, wanting, not wanting, person and person, all these things are rooted in the moha. I don't know, but
But I thought of the same. I thought of about it in the same line. We have come across this kind of teaching, like if you do not see the asada, adino, nissarana, you are in the deluded state of. So, in order for us to get out of such bondage, we have to see the danger of enticing things, anything that brings defilement. So, the way out of getting out of trouble is to see the danger of this. So there you escape from. So not having these three steps together, you are going to be in a deluded state. It could be you have full package of avijja there in your mind.
I think for all these things, foundation is avijja, right? So can we understand one thing here? The more is in the delusion, but delusion of permanence. So Rajan EA, you see things as attractive, and then you go after it. And Tusani means you see things as irritable, then you try to destroy it or run away from it. And then Mohani, can you say that you see things as permanent, as solid? Then you want to own it.
There is also I think a distorted perception.
Yeah.
Right. So you see what is impermanent, you see that as permanent.
Yeah. So can maybe that could be like so seeing anything like permanent or anything like everlasting, anything that is enduring. So that could be like a experience of mohani.
Yeah. And what is not really beautiful, you take it as beautiful. and what is not really yours, you take that as yours. So these are part of the call them sanya vipalas, isn't it? So sanya vipalas of moha. Yeah. For the perception. So and for people, including generally people are acting on a lot of things when they become emotional, right? Rooted in emotions. So there's basically people. There's a fight between the reasoning and the emotions. And so in this fight, normally it's the emotion that always wins because when you become emotional, deluded, then you don't see the things as they really are, and then you're just acting. So that is how I see this moha, and I don't know whether you have anything else.
Yeah, true. Actually, you have explained it enough, both Bantes. When you do not see the truth, you become a victim of untruth. So basically, Paticsamupad is not clear and visible, so that you are going to be a part of it, and you don't see the whole truth of something, so that you act as a fool. So you become it. So what we need now is to get out of it, basically. So when you know the results of what you are going to do, you maybe change the attitude to do so. For example, you are going to say something. As soon immediately you see what is going to happen after this, after I say this. So then you change the tone, you change the words choices, so that having seen the whole truth of progress, you are going to get it. So that's how the Buddha asks us to speak. That's how the Buddha asks us to act it in situations like that. So I think yes, you become a deluded person with a distorted perception. So if you find solutions to perception to make it right, I think everything is going to be okay.
And maybe we can simplify it, right? It's stupidity. I don't know. I'm just thinking.
But the Bante, the problem is that when somebody in delusion, that person doesn't know it is delusion.
Exactly. Yes.
That person know it. That's the kind of like ultimate truth.
Yeah.
So how then the person come out of that? I think there when it comes to our other teachings, there are Sutame Jnana, Chintame Jnana, Bhavaname Jnana. There are three kind of things, and so when it comes to that, it helps us to withdraw from our own point of view and have the kind of like effort ourselves to evaluate that what we go through. This all depend on, I think, if the person, whoever, not to maintain their life, if the person tries to become more better person, and in the Western it say, do your best, whatever you do. So Martin Luther King mentioned it kind of like a way, it's like a spiritual transformation. So because whatever you do in each and every time when you keep doing it best, so it helps you to get out of the self-centered mind, and then that will help kind of like make the opening space to move forward to whoever we are. So and other thing is having a higher purpose rather than maintaining life. Averagely for any ordinary person, if the person want to become a more better person, if we have a higher purpose, that purpose always help us to go towards that rather than interfering or rather than maintaining the present level of the state of mind. So that's why in the Dasadhamma Sutta, I think it very clearly mentioned the very first thing. Now I am now changed into a different mode of life. It's not the kind of like, so I have a more higher purpose. So if I think about it again and again and again, I'm not going to react to the present moment of that whatever come to my mind. So in the world, most of the time, whoever in the conventional level, before we go to the spiritual thing, even in the conventional level, whoever that became more successful, even from the very, very difficult lifestyle to more higher level of life, how they became they had the higher purpose. That higher purpose always pushed them go beyond that whatever the level where they are. So I think that that's why even for us, even for when it comes to the spiritual level, that what we go through, not to hold it to it or not to attach to that our own point of view. I think when we go higher, it is very difficult. Like tranquility state, high mental powers, jhana. So those are kind of like going to hold us to not like just this sugar or salt. It's going to become very difficult. How the person can go beyond that, because nobody going to advise, no one going to help. So in that case, I think it is very important to have the introspection with the higher purpose. So even the practicing, especially when it comes to the Buddha's teaching, all these practicing dana, sila, bhavana, because those are very old things. Before the Buddha, people used to practice. People used to give the dana. People used to practice meditation, and it's not a Buddhist thing, or it is not a new thing. And people used to practice many kind of ritual things, and people used to go into very difficult level of yogic practice. But according to the Buddha's teaching, how this all can relate it to attain to Nibbana, that is why it's different. So then when we come to as a higher purpose for us, when we come to the Nibbana, I think that higher purpose will help us to move forward from our own mind.
So regarding that, Venerable Prevaratana's question, delusion, I think the closest metaphor, the example we see in the sutras, the mirage in the hot day, when the deer is thirsty and sees the mirage, mistake the mirage for water, and then the deer is chasing it, moving forward for the water, but the deer doesn't get the water.
So we are doing the same, right?
Yeah, I said that's why I think the people are doing the same thing everywhere. There's people don't feel enough. People don't feel complete. No matter how much we have it. Like maybe in the Rattapala Sutra, one of the key teachings, Uno Loka Atitto Tanha Daso. Like you always feel incomplete, not satisfied. We have become slaves to our cravings. All this rooted in the delusion, isn't it?
Bhante Sansogoda put a nice word at the beginning that when delusion exists in us, it's difficult for us to know whether we are in delusion or not, which is true. This is why actually we hold the Dhamma discussion frequently, because it guides us to be undeluded. And that is why the Buddha asks us to have Kalyana Mitta in close connection, because for us, depending on the level of delusion, we may not be able to get out of it. If the level of delusion is too much, there is no way for us to see the light of the tunnel. So this is why we all need to engage in Sutta discussion, Dhamma discussion, association of Kalyana Mitta, and doing what you know how to do. What you do should be continued. Always. So as a whole, we are going to have some energies on the spiritual essence so that you are moving forward. Otherwise, it's difficult. Even at the time of the Buddha, monks and nuns and lay people equally got upset because of the level of delusion they had. Besides, you have the Buddha and Arhats, still you got wrong. So that, yes, it's very difficult to know whether we are in delusion, but someone who could point out that you are in this state, please come out and do this. I think that's the best way to get out of. Sometimes we are not skillful enough to know it, but the people who live close by will tell us whether we are in a proper way or improper way.
No, this is very challenging here actually, to remain, to train ourselves to have these five qualities. Is a big challenge, especially it doesn't matter what type of monk you are, forest monk or the city monk or village monk. Even in the forest, there are illusory things, there are desirable things, maybe because of your own ego. This actually reminds me like they are annoyed by the annoying. We we had we organized a conference here in Canada. So we had prominent monks and there were more than 400 people in attendance. So last day of the conference, so there's this monk. I think he passed away. The American monks, Venerable Anansi. When it came to his turn, then he said, "Guess what? I have been listening to all the speakers and all the discussions, but this is a conference about the mindfulness and mindfulness practice. But I haven't heard any speaker talking about mindfulness and explaining what mindfulness is all about. And but let me tell you, what does it mean to be mindful? And what is this sati? What is this mindfulness that he was going on and on and on? And the way he presented, actually, the audience, he was able to captivate the audience with his definition of mindfulness. And he said, what these people say the mindfulness is not the mindfulness. But here I tell you, I don't know what mindfulness is all about. This is exactly what Buddha taught. So he was going step by step. And I have seen some CD of prominent speakers, including the monastics. They were so annoyed. And then he was going on and on. And the MC said, your time is past, and this is the break time. And the entire audience said, you don't need break. We want to listen to this monk. And these prominent speakers got more annoyed by it. And after the break, and of course the prominent speaker who the world really respects highly, the entire audience was able to see his true color. How he was annoyed by this monk's presentation. I said, Bhante Jirananda knows about this. Yes. So we don't want to mention the name. So I think that when I read this sutra, the fourth one, Kuppaniye na kuppate or na kuppate, they are annoyed by the annoying. So that could be the real challenge for everyone. Like how we have this kind of, when you become a prominent person in the world, you think you are the big shot, you know everything. But then here's someone who's challenging you. Actually, you did not talk about it, and none of you explained the real sati. But let me explain what sati really means. But he was giving references to different sutras. That was the most important thing. It was not just making up. So anyway, this is one story that I wanted to tell the audience. Do you have any such stories or regarding these five things?
Bhante, I think this. Oh, mostly we try to maintain our self-centered, egocentric mind.
Yeah.
We living in our own inside our own head, talking to our this unseen Lilliput. And that is the thing. And another thing is what I have seen most of time. There are sometimes people come to situations they got tired, whatever the way they go through, but there is no opportunity for them to get out of the situation. There is no chance. No, most of time that a lot of people don't give a chance people to get out of the situation. I think that is one of the things because when I practice in like martial art in our karate class, the most of time I used to practice with these young people. And, that is what I most of time see, and it is very difficult to get the chance. And even sometimes people understand their mistake, and what we do most of the time using their mistake, we identify they kind of like a way, and we put the kind of like a label on them using their own mistake rather than giving them opportunity to move forward and become more better. So in the especially the spiritual society, I think that is where that it is very hard to get the chance because we all live ourselves and we all think I am the best, kind of like that. That's why the community of Sangha is more one of the beautiful place that we can be because in that place we have opportunity and we have a space to move forward, and there is a way, especially when it comes to the Theravada tradition and the Mahayana.
I'm going to be contributing here shortly.
Theravada tradition in the Mahavihara tradition, that always that we see how the generation to generation move forward with the higher purpose purifying ourselves.
And especially living with the community of monks or nuns, right? Of course, we are dealing with different personalities, different egos. And some monks could have the tendency of doing certain things, or grateful things, or hateful things. And then during such challenging moments, how do you remain? Like, how do you remain without getting caught up with such behavior? But majority of the people we know in the society, normal people, if they're drinking, they get, I'm joining you. Right? If they do some crazy things, people join them. But the freedom, but for us, when I talk about this, my own teachers, like my 99-year-old teacher, he's very virtuous, and he's living his life according to the Dhamma and Vinaya, and he has been emphasizing on the sila and also practicing meditation. Now, even within that Sangha community, both the monastics and the laity, they all highly respect him as a virtuous, very virtuous man. And in Sri Lanka, all of us know that those monks, the most venerable Madihe, Panya Sihe Mahanayaka Mahate, and his behavior, his teachings, and he lived by examples. He was the real model for us, and whatever teachings he gave had a big impact on us. Even today, I had the tendency of carrying his message. So that was a big influence. Even the meditation class is also the same. So, Venerable Premaratan, do you have a story like that? You had to unmute.
Yeah. Yes, Bante, we spent our monastic retreat like 2 weeks ago with the Bante team, Bante Ratan here, and then spending time with him and seeing how he conducts his own, life and is all. Whenever I read this, sutta, is initially, I thought about him, how we keep respecting him. There were so many monks who came from parts of the US and even some from England. I think there's one monk who came from England directed by you, Bante, right? Yeah. You have recommended. Yeah. So all these monks really appreciate Bante Gunaratana, Bante Ji, because of his, example in the monastic life and how he remained, unattached. Even though he's well known, he has so many, degrees to his name and so many honorary titles that he have got, but he don't care. Right? He doesn't care about any of these things. So I think so he has developed this inner strength not to be swayed by attractive things, not to be fooled, not to be intoxicated by even by the fame, and he always want to live like a very simple monk. So no matter what kind of honor and fame he has. So I think so for me and for many of you, I think Bante is a good example of among that is mentioned in this sutta. I think Venerable Tridao has raised his hand too, right?
Oh yeah, Venerable Tridao. I meant to ask you, invite you, but then we were having this friendly, amazing conversation.
It was the Senior Monks Club only discussion. And the younger monks just sit back and just relax. Thank you for having me again. Two things. I was trying to catch up on Venerable Pemaratana's about the delusion, a part of it, and I was going to cite, and how appropriate at the right time as I'm taking notes on the Life of Buddha by Nyana Moli. Here is it's easy to be deluded, and these quotes, perhaps someone want to tattoo this on their arm, and it is so profound. When they wanted the Buddha to ordain them, the Buddha they asked the Buddha, they said, beginning from today, Lord, let the Blessed One receive us as his followers who have gone to him for refuge as long as breath lasts. Keyword, as long as breath lasts. We take 25,000 breaths each day. At any one moment, if you were to stay in one moment of mindfulness, research tells us it only lasts about 3 seconds. So that means your breath lasts a little longer than 3 seconds until you jump to the next thought. And we have about 70,000 thoughts each day. And so that's how mindful you have to be, is that every breath that you take, watch your thoughts, chitta, nupassana. And once we're no longer mindful, it's so easy to fall into delusion and clinging. When we look at the sutta very carefully, that's why the Buddha describes certain followers, certain disciples as trained and learned. And he also said an unlearned man. So it's important part to cognitively understand comprehensively the Four Noble Truths. so that we can be that lighthouse and to watch each breath. That's why the breath is so important. And I believe Lady Sayadaw taught to Upakin's taught to Sayathet. And I believe it was Sayathet or Upakin who asserted by and through just samadhi alone, you can see the three marks of existence. And as I dissect slowly, I can see why that is a possibility for truth in the practice. That, by watching the breath, you can see that your thoughts of clinging on to something so easily diluted by this start of clinging, of attachment so quickly, because by and through each separate breaths can lead you either astray or towards the nibbanic experience. Also, before we conclude today, the awareness of samsara, how the Buddha said, "This birth is my last," asserted so confidently that this birth is my last. And so I thought that was really profound, to be aware of our samsara, and perhaps put that like a post-it notes everywhere. How the cycle of birth and death, birth of a thought, death of a thought, birth of an emotion, death of an emotion. And if we are aware of that samsaric formation, the arising of it, the falling of it, then we are closer to defeating delusion, which is ignorance of the Four Noble Truths. But yeah, you guys were bouncing back and forth, and I had a hard time trying to keep up and pinpointing how I'm going to comment in the commentary thereafter. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Now this was a great discussion that we had, and of course I see a comment in the Zoom platform. As I just sent, is asking, we would beg our learned monks to guide us and rescue us from such monks who give their own interpretation, as we are not learned enough to what is correct. We have come across such monks from time to time. Yeah, so I think different monks have different interpretations, different lifestyle, different behaviors. And I think most important thing for us is to stick with the Dhamma, not to follow the individual. How we have this tendency to follow the individual. That is the very reason why Buddha did not appoint a leader of the Dhamma or the Sangha.
Yeah.
And the Dhamma is the leader. So we have to stick with the Dhamma, not the individual, because. Just because someone put the robe on doesn't mean that person is enlightened or free from defilements. That person also has a lot of weaknesses, and we also don't have to emotionally.
I'll speak here shortly, Riki.
Monks, we have to just understand. This is how he is or she is. And this is not in line with the Dhamma. So I don't know what you have to say. Anyone else?
And Bhante, other thing is, when it comes to us, I think this suffering, it is one of the best teacher for all of us.
Yeah.
Because if anybody go through any situation and maybe everybody think, oh, I'm right, but if I do something wrong, end of the day, I'm going to suffer. That will help for me to understand if I'm suffering, that means I have done something wrong. So then I have to
you can convert by taking the three refuge.
Right? Yeah. So that is, I think that's why that if anybody listening to this and or whoever, that if the person want to know, am I right or wrong? Am I doing the good way or that whatever I do, is it best for me? Like, look into yourself and see. If you are suffering, then don't repeat it. Yeah. So if you are not suffering, so that means that whatever you keep doing, there is some profitable feedback. So I think that's when it comes to Four Noble Truth, that's why it's kind of like a foundation, because it is common for everybody all the time, and nobody can escape from that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter amongst the lay people, anybody. No one can escape from suffering. If the person suffers, that's me. That is time to get exit.
Yeah, amazing. Bante Jinanand, do you have any last thought?
Yeah, I wanted to share the perfect examples of senior monks. If you won't follow, unfortunately, I never thought of someone in today's era. But look at Venerable Ananda at the time of the Buddha. He was not only the attendance to the Buddha. He was a very productive manager of everyone. And then look at how people came to him and how he managed them well, and also Venerable Sariputta. These are two characters I always go for, getting some examples. So their way of showing their seniority with so much Dhamma in their account is an example. So always friendly. Nobody actually say anything about Venerable Anand except one or two incidents. But he was able to manage his mind and his behavior for the sake of everyone. So Venerable Sariputta, being the highest in wisdom, only to second to the Buddha, showed a very exemplary life for us to follow. So I think having seen these wonderful senior monks, even today, we can learn a lot. And I think many of those monks, including you, Bhante Sanapala, are senior monks. So we look at you. We look at such companions just to get inspiration. So everybody has to follow the Dhamma, so that people behind me and around me will follow the Dhamma as a sharing, as a influence. So that's what I want to tell. So at the end, we all need to learn from others.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your insights, and your experiences with us and the audience. And for that, I'm very
Ricky, you can reach
grateful
out to a monk to give you the precepts
so let us,
and the refuge.
Conclude today's 81st Biweekly Sutta discussion by reciting the Ovada Patham of the verses. And I normally invite a monk to recite this, but since nobody's here, let me do it. Sabba papassa akaranang kusalassa upasampada sacitta pariyodapanang etang buddhana sasanang kanti paramang tapotitika Nibbanang paramang vadanti buddha nahi pabbajito parupakhati samano hoti parang vihekayanto anubhavado anubhagato Patimokkhecha sangvaro Mattanyutaca bhattasmin Antanca sayanasanang Adhicitteca ayoga Ekang buddhana sasanang. So I would like to give the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha to all the venerable monks for coming together for this Biweekly Sutta discussion. Sharing Dhamma is a way of giving Dhamma to everyone. This is such a great continue to do this noble service. We all need blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. So may all the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem continue to be with all of you. So may Devas, celestial beings, continue to protect and guard you with the divine blessings for your health and safety. And may all the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem continue to be with all our Dhamma friends who are here on Zoom platform and also who are watching on Facebook and YouTube Live. Sabbe Satta Bhavatu Sukhdatta. May all sentient beings be well, happy, and peaceful. With these loving thoughts in mind, I would like to conclude today's 81st Biweekly Sutta discussion. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks' time. Until then, all of you stay well and safe. And good night from Canada. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for being wonderful listeners, especially on TikTok. A whopping 40, 50 people consistently in like half hour. So yeah, Ricky, you can reach out to any monastery. It doesn't have to be near you, but or any monk that can host it over the phone with you or video, and fully understand the 5 precepts and fully understand the refuge, what it means for it. You can also reach out to me at any time. Yeah. But thank you all for joining, and you all can go on my YouTube, Ajahn Chidao, for more teachings like this. Today's a bi-weekly where all of us get together as monastic scholars to discuss the Dhamma. So I apologize, not able to get back to some of the comments because there's a lot of comments and questions. Okay, see you guys soon. Take care.